We're gonna do some single leg squats, and the two single leg squats are pistol squats and skater squats. So I personally, when I am doing any kind of single leg squat, I actually push through my hip. So I imagine my hip going, whoop, gotta go over there, like a string pulling my hip out. You can do this with a supportive leg just to kind of get the movement. It feels like a nice little stretch. It should not feel painful. A nice little stretch in the hip. And you do that on either side. That's kind of actually how I warm up with my hips before I actually even get into a pistol squat or a skater squat. Because one, you're keeping your knee in line with your foot. That's always the most important key in any exercise that involves your legs. Knee is always in line with the foot. Has nothing to do with how forward or how back. Nothing, but not as much to do with how forward or how back it is, but 100% in line. We're not going too far out and we're not going in. So the hip can go out, but the knee always stays in line with the foot, okay? The other point I missed was that you want to ground through your heel or heel and ball of your feet. Keep those toes free. You're not going to be lifting through your toes. You're grounding through the mid to end of your foot. Midline, ball of your foot to your heel of your foot. Back is always neutral. You can have a minimal slight arch in it. Core is always neutral. Your abs are actually going to get it nice and toned through any type of upper body or lower body exercise. I actually don't really target my abs anymore. Anyway, this is a huge tangent. All right, so push out the hip, keeping the knee in line with the foot. Get that kind of stabilization in place. And I even do this throughout the day. I'll just stand on one leg and push out through my hip. Just kind of work on that stability and strength. From there, push out, bend your knee, which again can completely go over your toe. That's totally fine. And for a skater squat, your knee goes back. If you mastered the quarter squat, half squat, try to make it all the way down onto a nice soft surface. And then using the strength of your grounding leg, push through that again, lift that knee up, and then come all the way up. So that's a skater squat. Pistol squat, opposite. This takes a bit more flexibility, a bit more strength in the core that you'll just have to work up to, which for a pistol squat, if you're not as flexible or the strength isn't there yet, bend your knee 90 degrees and come down and just do a little toe tap. That's how you're gonna do those nice little quarter squats or half squats. So that's coming all the way here where you're parallel to the ground. That's an actual squat. Pistol squat, you're coming all the way to the ground. That's the difference. So these little transitions are what are gonna get you to, and you can even come with the supporting leg, but these little transitions are going to get you to get into a full pistol squat eventually. So eventually you can work within this range, little quarter range, a half range, and then eventually a full range. It's almost like a split squat in a way, which you can also use those as a progression tool. And now let's do the full thing. This is not the best because this moves. Okay, let's not use that. I did this before. I had no idea what the terminology of any of this was when I learned how to do a pistol squat before. I knew what a pistol squat was. My goal was to get to a pistol squat, but I actually had no idea the transition to get there. I was like, okay, I know the movement, but how am I gonna get there? So it turns out I did the right things just because it logically makes sense. So a box squat, again, I didn't know what this was, but I can show some pictures of me in the past. Anyway, it's just basically doing a single leg squat on a bench. So that way you have some sort of support to catch you if you fall. So, you might be unstable and be like, whoa, And I actually did this on a bed. A bed is a really great place to start doing this. So this is sort of the transition into a pistol squat. You do a box squat, which you can just use your bed, ideally a stable surface, probably a bench. A nice stable bench at the gym is your best bet. All right, now we're gonna go into the skater squat. So you're gonna push out through one leg as you lift through another. This, in a skater squat, your leg is gonna go back. And you can use a wall for support as you get started, and as you get stronger, you wanna try to not use any support. But as you're learning, use support. Okay, so I'll just show with support. All right, so hip pushed out, leg back, and we're working to just kind of go into a squat. Again, your knee can absolutely go over your toe. That's completely fine. If this is as far as you can go, that's okay. You want to go to a point where your back doesn't overarch or you're not curling over. You're keeping your back as neutral as possible and going down to the point where you're feeling strain in your glutes and the side of your hamstring. That's going to be on this side right here. So wherever you feel a little bit of muscle tension, you feel that nice little burn. Shouldn't be painful, should be a nice little burn. Come back up and go back down to the same position. As you get stronger, you can go lower and then eventually get to the ground. And then once you get to the ground, typically you're not gonna rest like this, but you're gonna ground. You can, as you're learning, just rest here and then work on grounding through the supporting foot, lifting that knee up, and then coming all the way up. Typically, 3 sets of 8 reps, anything 8 and above, 8 to 12 reps is a really great starting point. As you get past that, I would add weights. If you're just gliding through skater squats or pistol squats, start adding weights. And now we're gonna do some full skater squats. All right, so for skater squats, kick that leg back, knee slightly bent, foot stabilized, back neutral, core nice and tight. Come down, you can use your hands for a little counterbalance. 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 7 times. You want to rest at least a minute in between. For pistol squats, in the same fashion, you can work in transitioning yourself a little bit lower and lower as your strength progresses, your flexibility progresses into a larger range of motion. And so let's go ahead and do the right leg, I guess. So with a pistol squat, we're going to start in a 90-degree angle, but if you want to do full execution, I guess you could start out here. That still is even a bit straining for me. So I like to start with bent leg, go down to straight leg. And that also, again, depends completely on your flexibility, which I am flexible, have been quite flexible for most of my life. But strength training helps with flexibility, so do not be discouraged because you can get more flexible if you strength train. All right, push out through your hip, other knee up, stabilize with your core. And as you go down, this leg is going to come out in front of you so that you're not resting on that. 100% of the support is in the stabilizing leg. And then you're gonna push through your heel or the combination of your heel and the bottoms of your, or balls of your foot, and push up. 8 reps, so let's get into it and let's do 8 reps. Okay. Pistol squats. Gonna go for 8 reps, and then do skaters, and then come back. I've gotten actually better at these because I used to be that I couldn't stick this part of my back out. Feels like I can, I guess. The video will tell. It's also what's nice about filming yourself. Even if you're not gonna like publish anything, it's actually a really great way to see your form and to see if you have any muscle imbalances, which I totally do. scoliosis and everything, but if you don't know what scoliosis is, it's a curvature in the spine. Usually you're born with it, or I don't know, genetic, or they don't really know why. Anyway, this will help.